Hello, my name is Lily and I'm Astrodesign coach. Firstly, I want to express my deep sorrow and support for all the innocent victims worldwide. Many people forget that we are all cells of a huge and amazing body, the universe. We are all children of this universe and part of it. And we are all living in this Maya or Gaia illusion. And everything that happens here to one cell, meaning to one human being, will affect and always affects, directly or indirectly, everyone eventually. Anyone who does not feel sorrow, empathy towards helpless victims of crime, but looks for culprits from some side and makes excuses for atrocities, is not a person and has no soul whatsoever. She certainly hates himself and everyone around him. Such a creature is going to end like the ones it ridiculed. Beyond that, I wish to send my deepest condolences and support for all the innocent victims. May this war teach people to love, first of all, themselves, to value life, their own and others. In this video, I will uniquely present the state of Israel and the war that is taking place in the Middle East. In the video, I will talk about the basic chapter of the country, its astrological map and the map of human design, so that you can understand which country, what is this country, why is it behaving the way it behaves, and what exactly is going to happen for this country in the future. Beside that, I will explain you several important charts, the solar eclipses of this year and their effect on Israel and everything around it, and of course the map of the horrible war that began at the 7th of October this year. And eventually, I will tell you when this war is going to end, and a few other side effects. So let's begin. So, as I said, I'm going to begin this interpretation video from the basic charts of Israel in order for you to understand the behavior of Israel, its citizens, and the like. First, I will begin with the human design map. Israel is a splenic projector with a 6-2 profile, the most altruistic profile there is. It aspires to excellence and have a very high moral. Projector, they are the most sensitive to energies from all other types. They know how to value it and to appreciate it, what eventually creates inside them a very huge empathy for the other. But when it comes to a country that is such and behaves altruistically towards her enemies that just want to destroy her, is quite problematic. Another thing that is very obvious from this map, that there is no motors whatsoever in this map. Furthermore, the ego center is totally white, which means it's like virgin and there is no gate there. And the emotional center, the solar plexus, can be called virgin, can be called like virgin because the only two gates that are activated in it are unaware. What can imply a country that behaves very somehow wants to balance everything, wants to avoid conflict, afraid of conflict, and will do almost anything to avoid conflicts. Also, it implies of very high control, mental control over this country, although the right decisions for this country can be acquired only through disciplining the intuitive energies. Furthermore, we have in this map only three channels: the channel of leadership, the channel of talents and deep knowledge, and the channel that I personally call it the blah blah channel, the channel 4323, which leads to extremal energies that can only talk too much or to be silent too much, and there are not many action beyond words. First of all, I want to explain more at a more deeper level about the human design chart of Israel. Very important that this chart is a projector type. As I said, it's the most sensitive type and the most sensitive energy there is. So this sensitivity for the outside, for its enemies and the rest of the world, makes others gives others the ability to use this sensitivity for their own benefit. Meaning it's very easy to influence Israel from the outside, but from the inside as well. To make her promises in order to give her something for her blind altruism, and to give her blind belief that it is being appreciated by others if she do X, Y, Z. But in reality, nothing happens. But this country always compromises for the sake of others instead of doing something for herself. It is well known that projectors were born for other people. This is why they have such a high sensitivity, empathy, and ability to absorb other person, other energies, to understand it. But when the country behaves not as it should, all that becomes her it becomes her Achilles heel, her weak points. This country is not so active and it won't initiate anything unless it provoked. Many things are stayed in the frequency of words and mental, very high mental ability that this country have, but nothing active will happen unless it provoked. A few words about the 6-2 profile. This profile and people that were born under it are living three distinct and separate periods in their life. The first period is until their approximately 30th year. And in these years, the sixth line lives like a third line, which means it makes many, many mistakes. It has lots of conflicts, wars, and whatnot. Lots of despair, problems that are leaving a deep scar and traumatizing for this profile to the other periods of its life. So here in the country of Israel, the first 30 years left a deep scar and traumas in the collective, in the consciousness of the citizens that connected to survival, fears, and fixedness in sort of areas that influence Israel and its citizens. And of course, it brings some kind of problems in decision making in the rest of its life. Then the second period that began at the 80s until approximately 2000, Israel began to be aloof because of its deep willingness to be observant from the side and its desire not to be involved in any conflict and the need to get out of the traumas of the past and forget. This period indeed make her forget so many things regarding her enemies that it became very oblivious and blind, and it didn't believe to anything that so horrible that occurs right now. Another thing that is very important to emphasize with this profile, that it is very, very optimistic profile, and its view is always on the bright side, but sometimes this view can cause people to be blind to the negativity and to the reality, because sometimes being alert and negative and to expect something negative, it's a very realistic thing that didn't occur with this country. Furthermore, this profile doesn't listen to anyone. It always stuck on its traumas from the past. And it won't believe no one, especially when it comes to something negative that is going to occur. This is another Achilles heel for this profile, that sometimes the universe, the energy of the universe, have to shake this profile with horrific events in order for it to wake up and to understand the reality. Another thing that is important to mention is that this chart have the guilt trauma, which means that guilt is a very, very high motivational source for the behavior of this country. And to summarize it's all, Israel is very altruistic country. It will never hurt no one unless provoked, and it will always try to help other people and to live in peace with other people. It has very high standards, goals, and morality, and this is why in this country there are so many different cultures and lots of people, LGBT and Israeli Arab, and they all live together and get the same equal rights as other people. Let's continue to the astrological map, the basic map of of Israel. Israel ascendant is in Libra, which means this country all her life searches for balance that it doesn't have. It wants harmony and peace more than anything, and she doesn't have it. It doesn't have it. Because always something happened that gets her out of this balance. As well, Libra sign is known for its diplomacy, but this diplomacy can be very hypocrite. The ruler of the country, the ruler, I mean, of the astrological map of the country is Venus, the beauty, money, and love and harmony planet. Planet that represents bureaucracy, and it is in the ninth house, which is the religion, the tradition, the views, the education, and it represents very, very fixated stuff that's related to it. The ninth house is also related to foreign people, foreign countries, and Venus here means that this country is always very beneficial to other people that are not her citizen. And the love of foreign countries and people. But it also means that this country is very fixated in her religion. But this Venus creates only two aspects, and their both are aspects of conflict. First aspect is opposition to Jupiter, which means that this country can exaggerate in her kindness to others and exaggerate in stuff that related to economy, to religion, because Jupiter is religion as well. And it can be something that doesn't know any boundaries, which means that it can give her land to others without the value for these boundaries. Everything in order to achieve altruism, and everything in order to achieve peace and harmony that this map wants so much. The seventh house, which represent foreign affairs, the enemies of the country, deals, peace agreements, war with others. By the way, is the house of the known enemies. And over there we can see the dragon head, the north node, the obsessive point in any astrological chart that amplifies every place it's in. That means that for Israel there are lots and lots of known enemies, but there are lots of so-called partners that become enemies in the future, or in the past, enemies that become partners. Okay, so it's very unbalanced. Lots of agreements and deals that was not respected and even violated with its partners and the countries that Israel signed deals with. But it also means that this country is much better for other people, for foreigners, than for herself. The rulers of this country, which represents by the sun, are in the 8th house of this map, which means that no ruler for this country will be good for the country. The 8th house represents secrecy and something behind the scene, manipulations, control of other people's money, and traumas, a lot of trauma. And especially this sun is very conflicted because it has only two aspects and they are very, very negative. One is with Mars from Leo, lots of um, aggravated energy inside the country and towards the politicians, but the politicians themselves cause it. Lots of aggression, lots of problems with the military and with the forces that's supposed to guard and to protect Israel. It has lots of problems, and every ruler will cause some problems with the economy and with the money of the citizen. Another aspect is with Saturn, which is in the 10th house, and it causes lots of problems with authority or with government, with the rules that the authority tries to impose over the citizens, and there is lots of hardship in this country overall, lots of frustration from the management of this country, and the management does lots of stuff, manipulation behind the scene against its citizens. Also, Saturn refers to very, very strict and hard rulership over its country. So, as I saw through the human design map, I can say for sure that this country has no benefit for itself, meaning for its citizens, but lots of benefit for other people, for foreigners. Another thing that I want to mention is Uranus in this map. It always represents some kind of tension, political tension, fanatism, radicalism, and obsessive beliefs in something. It refers to demonstration and the right extremist wing, and it is in the 9th house of this country, which means this country has lots of fanatism in it on the base of religion and tradition, but also lots of sudden events that occur from foreigners from other countries. Because of the strong beliefs that this country have, because of the problem inside it with its citizens, because there is lots of demonstration, lots of problems inside the country's citizens' views. And it also amplifies the fact that Israel is torn apart from within, because it has multiple and different and very unique groups, and each group has their own strong beliefs. This is why it's very hard to be united in such a country, in such a map. The last thing that I want to say is that the Leo sign is amplified a lot in this country, and the moon, which represents the people of this country in its land, is in a quite harsh position, although it has lots of pride, but it's with a hard position. And Pluto conjunct Saturn means lots of hardship, problems, and even a lot of death in this country. Especially, listen closely, for people who were born under the sign of Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio, and people who have very significant planets in these signs should be aware of the reason of their not succeeding in this kind of country, or even their hardships. But also because most of the 12th house, which represent losses and confusion, and there is Neptune there, and it creates a very hard aspect to Venus, to the ruler of this map, which means this country has a lot of fantasies and unfulfilled beliefs, blindness even, I will say. People who were born in the last 10 degrees of the sign of Virgo, and 23 degrees from the beginning of the Libra sign, should also consider if they want to stay in this country, because being born with the sun in the 12th house of this country means that you are going to lose something living in this country. So take this into consideration. So now I want to move on to the present and the future. First of all, I want to talk about the solar return chart for Israel. I won't elaborate too much on every map that I'm going to show you, but in this map specifically, Mars, both the natal Mars of Israel and the transit Mars, are hit by many negative and challenging aspects. So, first of all, the natal Mars, which refers to Israel enemies, to deals, and other countries that are involved in Israel's fate, gets a very hard aspect from Uranus, and Uranus conjunct the North Node, which is the future, which is the goals, something massive, and creates something very unexpected and violent towards Israel. Uranus conjunct Sun, and the Sun is the ruler of the 11th house of Israel. So there is some kind of involvement from Israel's so-called partners and friends worldwide and this involvement will create something very violent and unexpected. The natal Mars has a very unsettling negative aspect to the transit Moon and transit Neptune, which means lots of insecurity, uncertainty about what is going to happen to Israel, and lots of fog to the citizens. Now, the transit Mars, not only it's in its debilitated sign, in the sign of Cancer, which makes it very irritable, very angry, very aggressive. It also conjunct Moon, which represents, as I said, the citizens of Israel. And it creates some kind of aggressiveness, impulsiveness, impatience, can create some powerful emotional problems and subconscious reaction that is going to be very challenging to control. Because Mars is the enemies of Israel from the natal chart, it means that it's going to be something very irritable, very aggressive, very violent that is going to come this year to this country and its citizens. Now, if I look to the transit, to this transit chart, the solar return, I can see that the seventh house is emphasized very much. There are lots of planets over there: Jupiter, the North Node, Mercury, Uranus, and Sun on the cusp between the seventh and eighth house, which means it's a big issue, and it's karma, because every time that there is a north or south node, it means karma for the future or for the past, or from the past as well. But Mercury here, first of all, it was the period when Mercury was in its shadow before retrograde, and which means Mercury was obscure and in a fog of the manipulations of the North Node. And Jupiter isn't acting here as something positive. It acts like a malefic because it's only exaggerates and amplifies the combination of manipulation. There were lots of communication regarding some kind of contract with the enemy, and there were told lots of lies from the enemies, and there were lots of manipulation. And it's obvious here that Israel was lied to, and is going to be lied from her allies, so-called, or partners. So this is very, very amplified in this solar return. Also, the house, which represent the land of Israel itself, its roots, emotional state, and its real estate and assets and property is controlled by Saturn, and Saturn is in the fifth house, the house of joy, events, happy events. And Saturn is not such a happy planet, so it brings lots of hardship in this area, hardship in the area of joy, satisfaction. And it is the second place from the from its fourth house, which means there are going to be losses and challenges, financial challenges regarding the land of Israel. The emotional state is going to be very, very hard and not satisfied. And it's very, very clear in this map. Also, the south node, Ketu, which is known to have its negative effect in every chart. It always brings karma from the past, and it creates something that forces you to cut something, to end something from your life. And it's traveling in the first house of Israel, and by that it causing it to to put an end to something that is causing pain in Israel, but it will come with pain and suffering and sudden cut to what Israel represents, to its reputation even. Here is the transit chart for the beginning of the Middle East war, the horrific and atrocities that were happened in Israel. First of all, the ascendant is Libra, the same as the ascendant of Israel, which implies that it's going to affect Israel so much. And from one point of view, it means that this is not going to be a long war, because this is an air sign, and air can come fast and go fast. So this is one thing that is beneficial in this chart. But the effect of this war is going to be for decades. Why? Because the ruler of this ascendant is Venus, and Venus is opposed Saturn. Whenever Saturn is involved, it means that something's going to last long time. And here it means that all the negativity, all the horrible things, all the side effects of this war are gonna continue many years. So even if the war is going to end, it doesn't matter, because it is the beginning of something very long that is going to happen in the country. And not only in the country, let's remember that Israel is a very small country, so it will affect all the region and all the countries that around it. So Venus here also is conjunct the natal Mars of Israel, which amplifies the aggression towards Venus, towards Israel, and the violence towards women. Also, the transit Mars here is in the first house of Israel, and it's conjunct the ascendant of Israel, which means aggression and enemies comes to Israel to hurt its physical nature, its reputation, everything that Israel represents. And not only this Mars has a conjunction to Ketu, to the south node, which cuts everything, makes hardships and sudden endings, and it all occurs in the first house and next to the ascendant of Israel. Very violent, very aggressive nature to this event. Moon, which represent the people and the women as well, mothers, is in a very sensitive sign and is quite amplified because it's in its own sign, in Cancer, in family sign, and it creates a very bad aspect, very challenging aspect to this Mars, to the transit Mars, and to the transit North Node, which means there is going to be lots of emotional turmoil, lots of negativity, emotional, and lots of aggressiveness towards women, children, and families. Also, we can see that the transit Sun and the transit Mercury are both at the 12th house of Israel natal chart, which amplifies the losses, first of all, because 12th house is losses. 12th house is beyond the scene. 12th house is closed and enclosed places like hospitals, jails, and imprisonment. And it refers, of course, to the people that were abducted. And it's all in the 12th house of Israel. And Mercury represents younger people. So we can see that many young people were suffering and still suffers. One thing that is important and I forgot to mention is that the transit moon is opposite Pluto, and Pluto means death and rebirth. So lots of death is going on here to the roots of each person, to emotional views and understanding, to subconscious mind. Pluto is transforming all that by force. Now, unfortunately, Jupiter is not beneficial here at all. On the contrary, not only it transits the 7th house of Israel, which amplifies its problems with enemies, also it creates very challenging aspect to the conjunction of Pluto and Saturn from the natal chart of Israel, which amplifies negatively the losses of lives in this event, even of elderly, because Saturn represents the elderly. Jupiter transit in the 7th house, the house of enemies for Israel, indicates that there were lots of factors, lots of organizations that were helping Hamas to fulfill this attack. So don't be mistaken, Hamas is not the only one who involved in it, and the planets speak for themselves. And of course, it all happens on the lands of Israel because Saturn represents the lands of Israel. And its only aspect is a negative one to Venus. Well, everything in this map represents violence, aggression, and lots of challenges and lots of deaths, unfortunately. I can see clearly that the authority is in dormant state because not only it's in the 12th house, which means it's not active, it's very passive. It's also conjunct Neptune, which creates fog and illusions and lots of confusion and of course it's not helping no one. So they really seem to be absent, at least from the beginning of this event. Another thing that represents the deaths, the multiple deaths and losses, is the transit Mars, that is in a challenging aspect to Pluto, which always creates danger and transformation by force, by accidents, by cutting, shooting, because Mars represents guns and artillery. So it is the god of war, and it creates in this map a total chaos. And the Mars in the natal chart is also opposite Saturn, so lots of challenges and problems from the enemies of Israel. About the future. The war began with Libra ascendant, the ruler which Venus. This planet moves very fast, so the outcomes and the longevity of this conflict is not going to be long, and the developments will also be fast. And even though the balance was for the benefit of the attackers, of the terrorists, this balance is going to shift for the benefit of Israel. The planet Mars, which represents war, moved on the 13th of October to Scorpio, which indicates underground operations and much deeper eradication of the terrorism. The overall change for the benefit of Israel will begin when Venus comes out of its negative aspect of the opposition against Saturn, which will occur around the 19th of October. On the same date, Mars also moves away from the negative aspect and influence of Pluto, which will slightly reduce the death ranges and the danger from enemies for the country of Israel. Around that date, the planet Sun will enter the first house of the natal chart of Israel and will give strength and increase in national strength, morality, security, and resilience. In addition, Venus will be in a very positive aspect to Jupiter, which will bring lots of economic and general support from outside towards Israel. Also, on the 19th of October, Mercury enters the first house of Israeli map, and from then on, there will be lots of negotiations regarding the abducted people, and there will also be more information about them to the State of Israel. But unfortunately, Mercury makes a difficult aspect to Pluto, which indicates bad news regarding the people that were abducted, especially because the fighting will turn in Israel's favor. Mercury will also be in transit of conjunction to the south node, to Ketum, which cuts and disconnects. Towards October 20, flights to and from Israel will resume, but there will be problems again at the beginning of November, and for about 10 days there will be disruptions in flights and communication and movement in the country. The end of the war according to the planets, is expected only towards the end of November, around the 25th of November, when Mars entered the optimistic sign of Sagittarius and will begin to create significant and positive aspects with the planets of the natal chart of Israel in the sign of Leo. But unfortunately, this will be the beginning of something new and not so simple to Israel, and even all the people worldwide. I wish all of us healing, strength, and the eradication of terrorism in the world. Remember, there is no excuse for inhuman acts, and there is no excuse for leaving someone who is inhuman among human life. I wish you all the best. Goodbye.